The moment the billionaire's wife collapsed midair, the cabin froze in a way that felt unnatural, as if 30,000 feet above the ground, time itself had forgotten how to move. One second she was adjusting the silk scarf around her neck, the next her body slumped forward, her breath shallow, her skin losing color under the harsh cabin lights. A quiet gasp rippled through first class, then panic followed like a rising tide, swift and merciless. Flight attendants rushed forward, passengers stood halfway from their seats, and somewhere between fear and disbelief, the hum of the engines felt louder than ever. No one knew it yet, but this was the moment that would change several lives forever. If stories of kindness, second chances, and unexpected heroes matter to you, take a moment right now to like this video. Share it with someone who believes goodness still exists, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these powerful stories reach hearts that truly need them. She was known across business magazines and charity galas as the elegant wife of a ruthless billionaire, a woman wrapped in luxury and quiet influence. But as she lay unconscious in that narrow aisle, titles meant nothing. The man beside her, her husband, sat rigid, his wealth useless against the terror of watching life slip away. He had conquered markets and bent governments, yet here, trapped in the sky, he was powerless. The flight crew tried to manage the situation, their training battling rising fear, but the aircraft lacked proper medical equipment, and the nearest emergency landing was still far away. With every passing second, her breathing grew weaker, and the cabin filled with a helpless tension that pressed against every chest. At the back of the plane, beyond the velvet curtain separating privilege from economy, a teenage janitor stood frozen, his hands gripping a trash bag he had been collecting during the flight. He wasn't supposed to be there. He was part of a temporary cleaning crew assigned to assist between long-haul segments, invisible to most passengers, especially those in first class. His uniform was faded, his shoes worn thin, and his eyes carried the tired alertness of someone who had learned early that the world rarely paused for people like him. But when he saw the woman collapse, something inside him stirred sharply, painfully familiar. The boy had seen that look before. Years earlier, on a cracked tile floor in a one-room home, he had watched his mother struggle to breathe, her body trembling as neighbors argued about calling help they couldn't afford. He remembered the panic, the smell of cheap disinfectant, the way fear hollowed out his chest. That memory rose now, vivid and unforgiving. While others hesitated, waiting for authority or instructions, the janitor felt his feet move before his mind could catch up. He stepped forward, crossing an invisible line drawn by class and expectation. Ignoring the murmurs and startled glances, he knelt beside the collapsed woman. His hands shook, but his mind was focused, driven by instinct and experience rather than training certificates. He noticed the subtle signs others missed, the labored chest movement, the faint pulse struggling against her wrist. Carefully, he adjusted her position to open her airway, recalling techniques he had learned not from books, but from desperate moments in his own life. He pressed his ear close, monitoring breath, steadying his movements as if grounding himself through her fragile presence. The flight crew watched with uncertainty, torn between protocol and the undeniable calm the boy seemed to bring. The billionaire husband looked on, anger and hope colliding within him. Who was this child? Why was he the one acting while everyone else stood frozen? Yet as seconds passed, something remarkable happened. The woman's breathing steadied just enough to keep her alive. It wasn't a miracle, but it was a lifeline, fragile and precious. As the aircraft rushed toward an emergency landing, the janitor stayed beside her, refusing to move even as sweat dripped down his brow and his arms ached from holding her safely positioned. In those moments, he was no janitor, no invisible worker. He was simply a human being refusing to let another slip away. When the plane finally touched down and medical teams surged on board, the tension released in a collective, trembling exhale. She was alive, weak but alive. In the aftermath, as paramedics carried her away, the boy quietly stood, ready to return to his forgotten corner. But the billionaire stopped him. For the first time in his life, wealth bowed to humility. He saw not a uniform but a courage money could never buy. The boy's story unfolded slowly of dropped-out dreams, of working nights to support younger siblings, of a life shaped by hardship yet softened by compassion. Something shifted in the billionaire then, a realization sharper than any loss he had ever calculated. Weeks later, the world learned that the woman had recovered fully. Headlines briefly mentioned an unexpected hero, but the real change happened away from cameras. The janitor's life transformed quietly but profoundly. His education was funded, his family supported, and opportunities opened that once seemed impossible. But more than financial help, he was given dignity, recognition, and the knowledge that his worth had always existed, even when unseen. And the billionaire's wife, now awake and reflective, carried the memory of a boy kneeling beside her in the sky like a reminder written on her heart. She used her influence differently after that, investing not just in profits, but in people who were overlooked, underestimated, and unheard. The flight that nearly ended her life became the beginning of a deeper purpose. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that heroes often come from the most unexpected places, please take a moment now to like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps spread stories that restore faith in humanity. Before this video ends, comment below and tell us this. Do you believe kindness can change destinies? Because sometimes, all it takes to rewrite a life is one brave moment, one unseen soul, and the courage to act when the world hesitates.